Hi, today we'll be talking about block pawns, and in this position white would straight away promote, but he's got a block pawn in the way, so white king has to get rid of it. Now the straightforward path by king e7, walking all the way down the 7th rank, king d7, king c7, king b7, king takes a7, doesn't work because of king b3 and king d7, king b4, king c7, king c5, king b7, and king d6. Actually, after king d7, after king e7, king c3, king d6, king d4, and now after king c6, king e5. So everyone knows this is a draw from the rook pawns video, that after king b7, king d6, king takes a7, king c7, the king is blocked in. So we have to avoid the threat of king c3 and king d4 by playing king d6, king e6, and then a king c3, king d5. So now king d4 is impossible, trying to get around the king. So the only move now is either king b4 or king d3. If king d3, then king c6, and the black king is on the wrong side, he can't get to c7. King d3, king c6, king d4, king b7, king c5, king takes a7, and this is a win. Same thing at king b4, king c6, king a5, king b7, winning the pawn. So it's important to box the king out and make sure you're on the right side. So king e6, king c3, king d5, and that's totally winning. So same thing here, you want to get to prevent the outflanking of the king going to f5 and then d7, trapping in the king by getting to c7 somehow. So after king f7, king c2, now king e7 because of king d3 as we saw before, followed by king d6, king a4, and king c7, king d6, king d5, king b7, and king d6, and the black king is able to trap the white king on a7. So king f7, king c2, and now king e6 like before, king d3, king d5, and just like before, that wins. So here we have a different situation where we're the ones that are trying to draw, and we have to trap the black king when he captures a pawn on a2. Clearly the black king can get to our pawn after 6 moves, and in 6 moves we can get to 4, 5, or 4, 5, 6. So we're able to trap the black king, but we can't just play after we can't play king f8 because of king f6, and then if king g8 trying to get to king h7, well, the thing is, after king f6, king f8, or actually king f8, king f6, king g8, he could play in 4 moves king b2. By then we'll only be on king c4, but we're on the wrong side. Or if we try king h7, 2, 3, 4, we'll be on king e4, so that's wrong. However, we could play king h8, and now if king f6, king h7, so we're on the right side. In 4 moves he'll be on b2, and in 4 moves we'll be on d3. So that's a draw. King e5, king g6, king d4, king f5, king c3, king e4, king b2, king d3, and we get to trap the black king. If king h8, king h8, king h6, then king g8, king g5, and now king h7. Drawing. So now we have this interesting position where we could either move the pawn 1 or 2, but it helps to imagine the final position. In the final position, the pawn's going to be here, and the black king is going to be either here or here, and it'll be our move. So let's imagine the pawn here with the black king to move. So the pawn is on, our pawn is on e5. If the black king goes to f8, king d7, king f7. And now if e5, king f8, king d8, then the black king has to go to g8 or g7 and we win the pawn. But there's a problem. After e5, king f8, king d7, king f7, e6, the black king goes to f6 and wins the game, like we've seen in the king is a sword and a shield video. So that would be a draw, because after e4, or actually when the pawn's on e5, if king f8, king d7, king f7, king to e8, then king to e6, and king to f8, king takes e5, king takes e7, so that's a draw. Now if the king is on f8 and we go, or actually if the king's here, then that's obviously a draw, because we have to go back and then the black king gets forward. So this is a totally drawn position. So if e3, king d8, e4, king e8, e5, king f8, draw just like we've seen before. And if e4, king f8, e5, king d8, the king has to go back, that's a draw. So this is a similar position where the almost same thing happens. And if king d2 now, well, that would be a mistake because of move by black that totally wins the game. c4. So now the white king can't go there, and he has to go to d1 to protect the c2 pawn. So after king d2, c4, king d1, then d3 wins the pawn. I mean c3. So king d2 the mistake, c4, king d1, c3 winning. So actually c4 wins. And if king c3, king c1. And like we've seen in the blockade video, after king takes c4, king c2, we're able to blockade the pawn. King b4, king b2, and we create the barrier that we've seen many times. c4, king c2, and we get in front of the pawn, which is a draw. So the move here is to play c4 and get the opposition. If king b3, then king d3, king b2, king d1, and that's drawing. If king b3, king c1, then king to c3, it will still be a draw. So king b3, and yeah, that will be a draw. So here it is black to move, and black to move draws by protecting this pawn. So if king e6, king b6, he's gonna win our pawn, but then we can play king d4, king d5, and then we win the pawn. So king e6, king b6, king to d5. If b4, then king c4. Or if king to b5, then king to d4. b4, king c3, and we get to touch the pawn, threatening to capture it. So we have to prevent king to e6 or king to e6. So by playing king to d5, we're able to do that. So if king to d6, which also prevents that move, then king to e4, b4, king to d4, b5, king to c5, b6, king to b6, king to c7, king to a6 wins. So that would be a bad idea. So king d5. And now the black king has to try to capture our pawn or protect his. and either way it fails. So if king f6, then let's see, what would be the line? Because king d6, b4, king to f5, b5, king to e4, b6, king to d4, king to d6, king to c4, king to c7, king to b5, king takes b7 wins. So if king f6, king to d6, king to f5, b4, king to e4, b5, king to d4, b6, king to c4, king to c7 wins the pawn. Or you could have tried king to f7, trying to get to c8, and then b4, king to e8, king to c7, b5, king to b6, king to d8, king takes b5, king to c7, king to a6 wins. So b4, king to e8, king to c7 preventing, king to d8, b5, king to b6 wins because he's one rank away. King to d7, king takes b5, king to c8, and now king to a6. The other method is to play after king d5, king to f4, trying to capture our pawn, but that fails. b4, king to e3, b5, king to d3, b6, and the barrier helps us here. King to c3, king to d6, king to b4, king to c6 wins. Here we have another situation where we have to try to promote our pawn, but there's a problem. It'll take us 5 moves to get to c7, attacking the pawn, or c8. So 5 moves to get to c8 or c7, but in those 5 moves he could play a6, and we all know that's a classic suk-swan position. In 4 moves we get to d8. In 4 moves he attacks our pawn. We have to protect it by c7, king to c7, but then he plays king to a6 and he wins. So the white king will be there, the black king will be there with us to move. So in the sorting is a shield video, I go over that position where white is totally lost. So king to g5 fails. However, we can still protect this pawn indirectly by getting our king to b4 when he captures on b6. So after king to g3, we're going to try to go this way, followed by getting to c4, just like we've seen in the previous example with the rook pawn. So now king to c2, and now king to f2. He's trying to block us. For example, if king to f3, king to d3 wins the block. Because after king to f2, we're one rank too far. King to c4, king to e2, king to b5, king to d3, king takes b6, king to c5, king to c4, king to a5. So not good. So we have to play king to f2. So we're gonna go e1, d2, c3, c3 and b4. So you could try king to d1, but now king to e3. King to c2, king to d4, king to b3, and now let's see, king to c5, king to a4, king to c4. So king to c4, king to a4, king to c4, king to a5, king to c3. Drawing. So after king to f2, you can try king to d2, but now king to f1. And now we're on time. King to c3, king to a2, king to b4, or king to d4, king to c4. It's all the same. We're playing king to d1. King to d4, king to... Actually, after king to d4, king to d2. After king to c4, king to d2. We're playing king to d2 in every case, not king to d1. Because he has to give up control of d2. So king to b4, king to d1, king to d2, king to b5, king to c3, and that's a draw. So by taking the long way, we're able to draw. And this is a similar position where by playing a move, we get to draw. King to f2 wouldn't work. Or would it? Let's see. Let's take a minute to think about it. We have to make a threat. So we have to threaten to capture this pawn or get to this square, and we would be able to draw. His threat is to capture this pawn in 3 moves, or 1, 2, 3. For example, if we try king to f2, then he can move the pawn or move the king. If king to d2, king to f1, c5, king to f2, king to d3, king to e1, and black wins. So king to f2, king to d2, c5, king to d3, king to e1, king to c4, king to d2, draws. If we try king to f1, then c5, and then king to f2, king to f1, c5, king to f2, king to d2, and white loses. King to f1, king to d3, king to e1, king takes, c4 wins for black. So we have to play king to f2, and either c5 loses because of king to f1, or actually after c5, then we play king to e3, king to c2. Hold on. So king to f2, c5. Yes, so king to f2, c5, king to e3, king to c2, king to e4 would lose because of king to c3. So it doesn't look like king to f2 is a good idea. King to f2, c5. The problem is if we try c5 right away, then king to e2, blocking us out. And if king to f3, then king to d2, king to e4, king to d3, c5, king to c4 loses. So we're missing something. What could it be? King to f2, c5, king to e2, king to c2, king to e2, winning the opposition and drawing in the end. Because after king c3, king d1, and that draws. So I want to go back to this example. So it's a little bit difficult, sure, but as long as you can win the blockade, the barrier, after king f2, you'll see that he doesn't have any king moves, because of king d2, then c5. And now we have the barrier. So it's all about the barrier. So king f2, king c2, and after king c2, then king e2. And that also wins the barrier. So he has to play king c3, but then king d1. Or if c5, then king e1, drawing. So it's all about the barrier. And we can make a barrier in the same way here. If we go to king to h3, then he's the one with the barrier. And after king to h3, then he could play, what could he play? b5, then king to h4 again, b4, king to g5, b3, king to f5 wins the b2 pawn. If this was a rook pawn and that was a rook pawn, then we would be able to draw with king to h3, but that doesn't work here. And if king to h5, let's see, b5, that totally loses for white, king to h5, because of b5. So we have to get that pawn. After king g5, b5, king to f5, b4, king to e5, we're able to catch up to the pawn. b3, king to d4, king to e2, yeah, so that's good. So he has to play after king g5, king e4, and now king f6. If b5 same story as before, b5, then king e6, b4, king to d6, b3, king to c5, king to d3, king to b4, king to c2, king to a3 wins for white. So king to f6, king to d5 to prevent that. King to e7, king to c6. And now something important to note is that king to d8 doesn't work here because the pawn can hop 2. So king d8, b5. All because the pawn can hop 2, you don't want to go too far back. Whereas if king to e7, b5, then we will have king to d7, b4, king to c7, king to c4, king to b6, king to b3, and we're able to touch the pawn with king to b5. But at king c6, king d8, b5, king to c8, b4, we can't play king b7 here, but we have to play king b8, and now we're too far because after king b5, actually after king b5, and now king b7, then b3. That wins the pawn because of king c7, king to, and now here, king to c4. So back to the position after king c6, and now we can actually be the ones that blockade and create a barrier for the black king after king e6. So now it's his move. If it was black to move, he would actually let's see, it's his move. So if it was our move, then interesting enough, we would be the ones that lose. Because if it was our move, king to e5, king c5, and let's see, king to e4, king to c4, king to e5, b5, king to d6, b4, king to c6, b3, king to b6, king to d3, king to a5, king to c2, and we win the pawn. So it's interesting, but because it's his move, after king c5, then king e5, keeping the barrier. Now king c4, king e4, and now b5. So now again we're able to touch the pawn, king e5. If king b3, then king d5, and this is a draw. So he'll try to play b4. But now again, this is still a draw after king d6. Whoops. So right there. There's nothing that black can do to win this. If b3, actually if b3, that could win for black, so we can't play that. We have to keep the barrier by king e4. But then that still wins for black because of king b3. So let's see. King e4, b5. No, we have to play king to e3 now. So that if king b3, now king d4, followed by king c5. And if b4, then king c5, and we get to touch the pawn. So black has to play b4, but now we can play king d2. And if king b3, then king c1, king a2, and now king c2, that draws. Not b3 because of king c3 winning. So that's a draw. So again, we play king g5, king e4, king f6, king d5, king e7, king c6, and we can't play king d8 now because the pawn hops too. But this maneuver is all just catch up to the pawn and threatens to capture it. So we can't play king d8, but we play king e6, and now king c5, king e5, king c4, king e4, and now he wants to protect his pawn. But now we can play king e3, and we're able to protect this pawn. B4 and not king b3 because of after king b3, then we just play king to d4. So king e3, b4, king d2, king b3, king c1 draws. And this is another position where black wins no matter if it's his move or white's. And the problem with this is that white obviously has to play king g6 and then king e5, king f7, king to d6. Obviously not king e8 because of b5, but if king f6 now, trying to create the barrier, see the difference between this position and the previous one after king e6 is that white is one rank, white is one file too far away. So let's see why that's a difference. If black plays king d5 and white plays king to e7, b5, king to d7, b4, king to c7, then that king is too far. Then let's see. After king d5, king e7, b5, king d7, b4, king c7, king c4, king b6, b3, king a5. Well, actually that wouldn't work. King d5, king e7, b5, king d7, b4, king c7, king c5, king b7, b3. So that's it. King d5, king to e7, b5, and now let's see, king d7, b4, king c7, king king c5. So if king b7, b3, king a6, no, it's still a draw. So let's see, after king f6, what could be the difference? So obviously we can't allow white to get onto the 7th rank. But after b5, the difference here is that if b5, then king to e5, king to, or actually no, after b5, then b4. And that draws, because the black king can't get to c5, but in this position, he can. After king f6, b5, b4, the black king has king to d5, so that's the difference. King f6, now b5, because there's nothing preventing the black king from getting down there. And here white draws by playing king b1, king to g2, king to c2, and actually no, he wins. King b1, king g2, king to c2, king to f3, king to d3, and then he gets his barrier. So the important thing to note is that you always want to have that barrier with black to move. So in this position, we have something a lot easier. This is something that white can try to win. For example, by playing king to a4, and he's able to get the opposition. The opposition is something that you get when there's an odd number of squares between you and the black king, and it's his move. Like if king to a7, king to a5, and that wins, because after the king's move, king b7, king b5, king c7, king c5, king d7, king d5, king e7, king e5, king f7, king to d6, the white king is able to force the win of the pawn. So the black king will actually play king to b8 here, and if king to b5, king b7, drawing. Because after king c5, king c7, king d5, king d7, king e5, king e7, here the difference is that it's white's move, so black doesn't have to play king f7 because it's not his move. But after king to d5, king to d7 repeats. So king a4, king b8. And now king b4, then king to c8. King a5, king to c7. King a6, king c6 draws. So white will try king to a4, but then now black just plays king c8. If king to b3, that doesn't really do much because of king b7. Still keeping an odd number of squares. So that's a quick shortcut. So that last position was a draw. And here we have a position where white is able to catch up to this pawn in 5 moves. But in 5 moves, black can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, threaten to capture our pawn. But we can box black out after king c5. And now if king b3, then king to d5, king c3, king to e5, king to e3, or no, we skipped a move, king to d3, and now king to f4. So king b3, king to d5, king to c3, king to e5, king to d3, king to f4, king c4. But now we can play g4. If king to d3, b5, g5, winning. So let's go back. So after king c5, then if king b3, king d5, just like we've seen before, king c3, king e5, king d3, king f4, then black can actually play king to e2, trying to capture our pawn. So after king b3, the winning line is just king to d4, keeping the blockade. If king c2 staying on the 7th rank, now we can play king to e3. And if king c3, then we just play g4, and that wins. So that's the trick. Just make sure that the black king can't stay on the 7th rank, but if he does, then your pawn should be far advanced enough. Not like in the example over here. After king to h5, or king g5, king e4, king f6, king to d5, king to e7, king c6. The king is too close. The pawn's not far advanced. The pawn should be on b5. So after king e6, b5, then we're able to go down. King to e5, king c5, king to e4, or actually no. After king to c6, after b5, then b4. So it's all about maneuvering the king to prevent his mobility. So again, king c5, king b3, king d4, king c2, king e3, king to c3. Now we can play g4. And if he tries playing g5, this would draw for black if our king was on f3 and his was on d3. But we can still go to e4, that's the difference. This is an easier example. We can capture the pawn in 3 moves, and he won't be able to do anything. King f4, king to g2, king to g4 protects the pawn, and we'll be able to capture it, but there's a problem. He could try to trap us. King to f4, king to f2. King to g4, and then king to e3, so you have to box the king out. King to f3, king f1, king g4, king f2, and we win. King takes h4. Now we have this example where if we capture the pawn by trying to play king b7, then he can play a5, king to a6. He can't move the king to e3 because the king takes a5, king d4, king to b5, winning. So he has to keep pushing the pawn. a4, king a5. If king e3, same thing as before. So a3, king a4, still not king e3 because of king takes a3, king to d4, king b4. So there's nothing left for him to do. So this is actually a win for white. Just keep chasing the pawn. In this sort of different position, if we try king to b7, then we have black has a5, and this wins just as before. And this is for the next video, where we'll examine some zugzwang with the king here and the king there, just like we've seen some examples, but we'll go more into it in depth on it. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like, and feel free to donate. The link is in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.